Times were tough in the Elizabethan Age. It was the times of kings and queens, ladies and lords. It was also the times of pirates and public executions. It was in this time that Queen Elizabeth reigned over all of England and Wales. But that wasn't enough for the Virgin Queen. She wanted her cousin's land. It was also around this time when the Spanish wanted to eliminate all of the Protestants in England. It also didn't help that Queen Elizabeth employed a pirate by the name of Walter Raleigh to shoot down and loot Spanish ships. Because of Elizabeth's hatred against her, Queen Mary made plans to overthrow Elizabeth and shape England to her liking. She employed a man called Anthony Babington to do her bidding. He was to do all of the planning and plotting, while she maintained a good reputation to the public eye. The story of the Babington plot is one of mystery and intrigue, a story with many sides, one of which ends with death most gruesome. Anthony Babington was an agent working for Mary. To find out more about Anthony Babington, I invited his great-great-grandson, Gordon Babington, for an interview. So, tell me what you know about your great-great-grandfather.
Well, where do I start? Anthony's childhood was very sad. His father died a tragic death in the battle between the Portuguese and the British. He was a hero, but his father's death left a hatred for the Portuguese and the Protestants in general.
So, where did Anthony's career start?
He was first employed as a page boy by Queen Mary's jailer. It was from that day he was a big supporter of Mary's cause.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Queen Mary's cause, as you say?
Well, what I do know is she wanted to eliminate every Protestant in England.
While Babington was plotting, Elizabeth, for her own safety, employed a man named Francis Walsingham, also known as the Spy Master. I also held an interview with Edward Walsingham, the great-great-grandson of Francis Walsingham. So, tell me what you know about Francis Walsingham.
Well, he was the greatest spy that ever existed, and he was also the right-hand man to Queen Elizabeth.
So, can you tell me what he was most famous for?
He was very well known for the downfall of the Catholic scum and the execution of that traitor Babington.
The traitor Babington?
Yes, Anthony Babington, who conspired against the Queen Elizabeth.
Please, sir, calm down for me.
That's Sir Edward Walsingham to you. I'm sorry. I get a little worked up sometimes.
Anyways, carrying on. Because Babington didn't want to be seen with Mary, to avoid suspicion, he had to communicate with her using secret messages. He used a code known only by a few small groups of Catholics. It uses the system of disguising letters as strange symbols. To get the messages to Mary, Babington employed a servant of Mary's called Gilbert Gifford to smuggle the messages inside the castle inside of a wine cask. He got the job with Babington because he gained the trust of one of his men, John Savage. We interrupt the story for an interesting factoid. John Savage was to be one of the men who assassinated Queen Elizabeth, but was unable to complete his task, for he was arrested in a brothel. Gilbert Gifford, however, wasn't the biggest supporter of Mary's schemes, and so he offered his services to Walsingham by promising to duplicate the secret messages and delivering them to him. Babington, not suspecting anything, sent numerous messages with every single detail entailing the assassination of Queen Elizabeth. Francis, not knowing a thing about codes, sent the secret messages to a codebreaker named Thomas Phillips. We break the story once more for another interesting factoid. To decipher the code, Thomas used a method called frequency analysis. The system analyzed how many times a certain symbol appeared in the message and compared it to how many times a certain letter appeared in the English language. After deciphering them, Thomas sent the messages to Francis as evidence against Mary in her trial. Francis then sent his men to go and arrest Mary. When Mary was questioned at her trial, she denied every accusation of being involved with Babington and his plot to execute Elizabeth. Francis then revealed every message Babington had ever sent to Mary and all of her replies. She then accepted her fate and was executed. Legend had it, it took 3 chops of the executioner's axe to finally get Mary's head severed from her body.
Hey, Gordon Babington?
So what are your opinions on Queen Mary's death?
She deserved everything she got. And Babington too. I just wish I could have been there to see it.
And you?
Well, I think it's a little unfair. I mean, she only did what was right. Queen Elizabeth was a ruthless leader. Just glad she had no children.
Well,
No. What do you mean ruthless? She was a great queen, only did what was best for her country.
Don't you know me? I'm simply stating facts here. She don't care about money and herself.
Why?
Well,
why you what?
I would like to thank both of you for being here. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It's a pleasure.
My pleasure. Ja, dat is fijn. Okay.
Accent. What's in my...
Sien, hy blink nie meer nie. Okay, ons gaan nou maar hierdie gebruik. Kyk of hy nog gelyk is op die
Sorry.
Only that he was the greatest fighter to exist. He was also the right-hand man of Queen Elizabeth.
Dit lyk actually beter, doen dit nie?
Nogals.
Yeah, it's quite
Dit
fine.
doen, okay, so dit werk.
Yes, quite fine. Calm down for me, sir.
It's Sir!
Vergeet ek daai woord. Dis ek moet dalk 'n bietjie terug. Sir, please calm down for me.
That's Sir Edward Walsingham to you.
Okay, wag, kas.
Vergeet ek het weer. Shit. Jammer. Ek rofstuur mekaar. Wat dan moet ek my ring aan hierdie vinger sit?
Ek het kodel.
Alright.
Okay, ink, scene 1, take 4.
So,
Action. And action.
For the downfall of the Catholic scum. And that traitor...
Sorry, Anthony's childhood was very sad. His father died a tragic death in some battle that I forgot. Damn it!
Video snel.
Klank snel. In actie.
Wat 'n teken is dit?
Jy het nie eens gesê wat 'n teken dit is nie.
Ons gaan aan.
Take 1, scene 1.
Scene 1, take 3.
Marco, take 1. Scene 3.
Scene 1, take 3.
Okay, Marco, scene 1, take 3.
Right.
Action.
Odio presto.
Nee.
Moet jy ook laat lag nie.
Jy moet my laat.
Nee, nie vir my van jou pilletjies nie. Marco, take 9.
Take what? Scene 1.
1. Action.
What do you know of Queen Mary's cause, as you say?
Well, what I do know is that she wanted to eliminate every Protestant.
So, what do you know of Queen Mary's cause, as you say?
Well, what I do know is that she wanted to eliminate every Protestant in.
Eliminate every Protestant.
Sounds bad.
Yes, good man.
Okay.